And welcome into another episode of Motor City Metrics. I am Mike here along with Yoop today. Rogelio is taking the night off, as is Ashley. Roger just not feeling too well tonight. Maybe it was just the sweep at the hands of the Red Sox that made Roger just not feel too up to it today. Who knows?
Sick to his
said. Yeah. It's too soon to tell. But thanks for joining us tonight. My mind's a bit elsewhere. I'm leaving to go on my first cruise very soon, but real excited for that. But I did want to start.
Mike got the hantavirus discount.
Yeah, right. We'll see. I might be gone for a month or so. Well, I'll let y'all know. But oh my goodness, and look at that, we've got Chris Brown here as well.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Well, no, I wasn't sure whether to expect you, so we just went. I think we went a minute early, and here you are, a minute into the show. So that's perfect.
It's all good. No, I was over at my buddy's house, and my son was playing basketball. I couldn't peel him away quickly enough.
Well, you made it. Welcome.
Yeah.
Pistons fever? Is that why you couldn't drag him out of there?
No, they were just playing in the court, and they're like, "Oh, I have to make one more basket." You know how that goes. I was checking that. How's that Pistons game going?
Pistons just went down by 2.
No.
Yeah, we'll see. It's all right.
Yeah.
Well, they'll be all right. Anyway, welcome. I did want to start off the show right away before we get kind of into anything else. A big thing did happen today in Detroit sports world. Pat Caputo did pass away. He announced in January that he'd been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Basically a death sentence. So he was not shy about it. He's a very private person. So we heard that he passed today. And say what you will about Pat Caputo, he was a big deal in this town. And regardless of how I felt about some of his takes, that's neither here nor there. He always had people talking about baseball. He knew what he was talking about. And he kind of pushed baseball talk no matter what time of the year, no matter how good the Tigers were, no matter how bad they were. So he will be missed, and I was sad to see that news today.
Yeah, I mean, it was like you said, it's a death sentence, right? Like anybody who gets that, it's just a matter of like, are you going to make it 3 months? You're going to make it a year? And it's just so tough. You know, I think we lost Ernie Harwell to, like, was it bile duct cancer? It's kind of like vaguely similar. Just a real bummer. He was a fixture on, sports talk radio. I never read the Oakland Press or whatever, but I heard him all the time on 97.1, and then also you see him on Fox 2 News or whatever, the Sports Works. And yeah, he's a character and certainly wasn't shy about sharing his opinion. I often disagree with him, but of course, who cares? It's just a bummer. I feel for him and his family. But he left a legacy, so there's something to that, right? You know, a lot of people get this and nobody knows who they are. So I guess if you want to put a tiny little silver lining on it, there's that.
You know, for me, never having lived in Southeast Michigan, I never heard him on the air ever, but being a part of this community on Twitter and before that in the Tiger chat rooms of the Detroit News and that kind of thing, his commentary got interspersed in there quite often, people commenting on it. And whether you agreed with them or not, he was really good about keeping the conversation going. And as Mike said, talking about the Tigers any time of year. And so, yeah, I agree with him or not, he was a talented guy, and he'll be missed.
Yeah, it is worth mentioning. So I'm glad we were able to spend a moment on that. I am terrible at segues and transitions. So something else sad happened in the Tigers world this week, and it was a lowly sweep against a Red Sox team that, quite frankly, has just been a mess so far this year. You could say there's a ton of reasons, whether they're the Tigers' fault, whether you call it injuries, you can call it whatever you want. The simple fact is they got swept by a mediocre team, and you're not really looking at a team that's doing those small things that they were doing last year to kind of keep them afloat. I don't know kind of how you guys want to attack this. Just the big thing for me is the way that they're playing their defense right now, and the way that they're not able to really save any runs in that way. It's just creating a whole plethora of problems. And Like, I would argue that was really the focal point of the Framber Valdez ejection, really, is like, if they could play a little bit better defense, would all of that have happened? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember because it started with a 3-run homer, but the first there was an error.
It was the first inning. He had a rough first inning.
Yeah. That's right. McKinstry took a ball right off the chest, right? Like, yeah, I guess to me, that couldn't have been a more disappointing. Like, you couldn't design a more disappointing performance from Framber Valdez. I talked recently about, like, hey, losing school is obviously a huge deal, but the Tigers went out and signed another ace, right? They went out and signed another one of the top 10 pitchers in baseball, and you needed Framber Valdez to step up. And he didn't need to, like, pitch a 9-inning Maddox or whatever. But if he'd just gone out and done 7 innings of 2 or 3 run ball like he normally does, that would have made you feel a lot better. Instead, he has this complete meltdown on the mound and then throws at Trevor Story for some reason. And, the speculation is that they were stealing pitches or whatever. But even still, like, it was just like this was not the way they need to start weathering this storm. Like, this is you've dropped a toaster in the water, and like, that was not, like I said, that was not the way. That did not make me feel good about their chances of weathering this. Like, and then you compound it with just the defense. They're one of the worst defensive teams in baseball, and they can't afford to give away outs and force their pitchers to go get 4 or 5 outs in an inning. They just can't do that. I mean, they're pretty good offense still, but they're not good enough to overcome that.
Yeah, I mean, I want to mention, by Fangraphs, they are the worst defensive team in baseball right now when you take all of their metrics together. So by a significant margin too. Like, I don't fully understand the metrics, but they're at negative 13.3, and the next worst team is the Angels, which is negative 10.6. It only goes to 14.1 positive for the best team. So just a scale, I mean, there's a lot to it, but they're at least one metric is saying that they're not only bad, they're the worst. Sorry, you go ahead.
Oh, that's fine. That kind of sets me up for where I wanted to go with this. That Boston series was obviously the poo-poo platter of everything that could go wrong did, right? I mean, they gave up a lot of runs one game. They had the defense pretty much give up one game, and then they couldn't really hit enough to overcome any of it all week. So it just all came together into an ugly series. And it just everything. Like, it just – I didn't look at the numbers, but I bet the BABIP number for Boston was outrageous in that series. Like, every little looper went over the shortstop's head, instead of a line drive to him. And if it could go wrong in that series, it did. And hopefully they are able to wipe it aside and go on the road and play a good series in Kansas City, because they're due for something to go right, some kind of offensive explosion or something.
Yeah, and it was, they had been playing really well at home. I think they were like 12-3 or something like that. Or I don't know exactly what the record was, but so yeah, it does make you feel great about heading on the road. Again, like, there's like losing Gleyber Torres is not great, but second base seems to be one spot where they can kind of they've got bodies to replace them. But yeah, like, just all the little things that you think of Matt Vierling, try to get a double and getting thrown out, and then they get like 3 more hits or 2 more hits in the inning, but they don't score a run.
Yeah.
It was an ugly series, and you don't want to think the worst, right? Like, you hope that this is not the beginning of like everything falling apart. But it is one of those situations where it's like, if it does fall apart, I don't know if you can necessarily blame them at this point, right? Like, you got Ty Madden and Kyder Montero as rotation members. I'm expecting any day now to hear Will Vest is, going to get Tommy John. I have no inside information there or whatever, but it just feels like the way things are going, right? Like, he has forearm issue and he's getting further medical evaluation, and it's just been that type of season. Hesitate to say this, and some people might not remember this, but I'm getting mild 2008 vibes where everything should be good on paper, and then everything just kind of goes wrong.
That was the Edgar Renteria year.
Renteria, Verlander randomly had
a lot
like
of my friends thought, oh, the Tigers are going to score 1,000 runs this year.
Yeah.
I heard that all the time, 1,000 runs. Didn't
Yeah,
happen.
I mean, it was Miggy's first year. It was Miggy's first year. They brought in Dontrelle Willis. You know, you got Dontrelle, you got Verlander, you got Nate Robertson and Bonderman, and it did not work out. Verlander had an awful year. Dontrelle disappeared. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good point. Deadly Ninja Beast. Jack Flaherty looked like he returned from the dead, but the defense behind him sabotaged him. Yeah, like that's I think perfect illustration of Yoop's point there. Like everything that could go wrong did wrong. You got the best start of Flaherty's season, and the Tigers gave away what 3 or 4 of those runs. Like we're not on him really.
Really, I'd say 4 of them. Yeah, I mean the Torkelson dropped pop-up. If the rest of the inning goes the same as it does, and there's no way of telling that, but assuming it does, he gets out of that inning with no runs. You know, and then the same with the other inning with the error by Colt Keith.
Yeah, so just terribly timed errors and all that stuff. Yeah, just it's a bummer, but you do have to move on.
I mean, Flaherty, he did have 10 strikeouts and a walk, considering I think he led the majors in walks by a starter. Could be wrong, but he was really up there. He had like 26 walks and 29 innings, something insane. So 10-1 strikeout. Like there were positives. I really tried hard. This was the hardest part of me prepping for this, but I did actually you brought up one of the guys I wanted to actually highlight as positive. Like, hey, you put a little respect on Kiter Montero's name. Like he's doing exactly what I think he should be expected to do in his MLB career. He's going to be a solid, like, number 4 starter. He's not going to give you lights out innings, but like sub 4 ERA, like absolutely in the realm of possibility. He does go through a lot of, it's a roller coaster sometimes from start to start. Not a ton of consistency there, but it's just overall, he's been giving them really good starts, and I can't even imagine what place they'd be in without him right now, So yeah, he's done. I thought I'm a huge fan of his, and I'm happy to see him succeed right now.
Yeah. I mean, Raj and I have always liked him too, go back to the minors. And I think that the huge thing for him this year so far is the strike throwing, right? Like he's not walking anybody for the most part. Like, maybe 1 or 2 a game, but you keeping it in the zone and good things will happen for the most part. Like he's not giving up home runs left and right. That helps. And yeah, he's been a lifesaver so far.
That's what I thought. He's kept the ball in the park decently, right? Because he doesn't strike out a lot of guys. So it's important he doesn't walk a lot of guys. So, but he's really inducing a lot of soft contact. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. And to give another guy credit, I need to eat a little crow for this, because I have talked very negatively about this guy every episode of this show since the season started. I just want to mention Drew Anderson too. Like he looks more like the pitcher I thought he'd be when in spring training. I've never compared a dude to a spring training self more than I've compared this guy to, but it's because I thought I saw another level in spring training, and it just looked like he had nerves or something. Like it had been so long since he'd been in the majors. But in his last 5 outings, he's got 9 1/3, 1 run, 5 walks, 15 strikeouts, 0.96 ERA. His velocity's up 2 to 3 miles per hour. And that was what his velocity was at the end of spring training. And then it just dropped right when he came north. So it's worth pointing out that he has done a lot since people were literally posting stat lines comparing him to Kenta Maeda. That was like 2 weeks ago. It was not that long ago.
Yeah, I think the velocity being up is a big thing. You touched on that. I think that makes everything else play up better. And yeah, he's got the 6th most innings on the team, behind a bunch of starters. Now some of those were mop-up innings, but he had a couple walks. Did he walk like 3 the other day? And Herter was able to come in there and get a couple big outs. And Herter's been great this year too. But yeah, I mean, like you see the glimpses. We saw it in the spring training, right? We're like, hey, this is a great signing, and then it was a disaster. And now you're seeing it again, like maybe this guy could be somebody you call on when you really need a swing and a miss. We'll see, but certainly he's looking better than he did in the first couple of weeks.
I actually thought they might go with him to make a couple starts here, and they still might. That they might have to at some point. But Ty Madden came in the other night, and it's one game, it's 5 innings, it's I think 2 times through an order. So no one's throwing a parade for timeout, but he is going to get another start, and he looked pretty good. So I don't know if he can continue that, but it was fun to see him pitch 5 good innings.
Yeah, good for Ty Madden. Sorry, go ahead, Chris. I
was just gonna say, like, I would not have predicted that, having watched Ty Madden in Toledo all year. He's a terribly volatile pitcher too throughout his career in the minors. He'll have games where he looks outstanding, and this is going back when he was throwing 96 to 98, and now he's like 91, 93, touching 94. But they had him basically, he's got a kitchen sink, right? And they cut down his fastball usage and more cutters, more sliders, and they'll find something that works. But yeah, any innings they can get from those guys are huge because, like you said, they just have to kind of weather May. Some of these guys are going to start coming back. I don't know how soon, but Mize and Verlander should be back relatively soon, right?
Do you think we'll see? I mean, almost like I hope not, just because it means the injuries are maybe worse than we think, but Troy Melton started a rehab start. Is he maybe in the mix to maybe get a start or two coming up?
Well, he's not eligible to come off the IL until the end of May, I think.
25th.
Yeah.
25th.
But yeah, I mean, that's 3 weeks from now. I think that they will get him. So it's always been such a fascinating thing with him, right? Because it was like when you at the beginning, you're like, oh, boy, he would make the bullpen look great with this rotation. And now it's like, boy, they need him in the rotation.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I could absolutely see him. I don't know what day he pitched. Was it Friday? I don't remember which day he pitched. But it's, he hasn't had his second outing yet, has he? Yeah, I mean, he could be a huge addition too, right? Like, so you get Mize, Melton, and Verlander back in the next 3 weeks, theoretically, and then Skubal a month later, if everything goes well. And you're okay at that point, is assuming you don't have 8 more injuries. But yeah,
that's the thing. Does the attrition stop? So, the sad part is, and just going by records, that doesn't mean everything. But prior to the Skubal news hitting, I looked at the schedule for the rest of May, and this was before the Boston series. The cumulative of their 7 or 8 opponents for the rest of the month were about 29 or 30 games under 500. So we really set up for them like, hey, they're going to play a lot of home games. They are going to play some teams with bad records. This could be the point where they start to gain a little momentum. And then obviously Boston comes in at 13-21 and cleans their clock for 3 days. So, and they lose Skubal. So yeah, I think weathering May has now become what it's all about. I mean, can they continue to play roughly 500 baseball, maybe a little above, maybe a little less, and get to the point where they get some reinforcements?
I mean, yeah, this is like everybody keeps bringing up the term pitching chaos again, but like it's May. It is just way too early to have like that kind of desperation moves. You know what I mean? When we know that that's ultimately what is happening in a couple of these games, it does worry me for sure going forward. They do need these guys back. I am still not 100% sure, and I'm not trying to be blasphemous here, but I'm not 100% sure JV coming back is going to be like a huge positive. Like, he'll eat some innings. They need starters. They need guys to pitch starting innings, but I really am curious to see how much he's really got left.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah, I don't know what you're going to get from him, but that they keep talking about his bullpen sessions and they weren't going well, and now like, oh, he finally had a good one. I'm like, well, that doesn't sound great. But like you said, like they just need some people to pitch now. It's something that Raj and I have looked at a ton with the minors, the minor league side. But you're like heading into this year. So the Toledo rotation was going to be Kiter Montero, Ty Madden, Sawyer Gibson-Long, and Troy Watson. And Troy Watson was hurt, and Sawyer Gibson-Long is hurt again, and Madden and Montero in the big leagues. So it's just like Brian Salmons and a bunch of random minor league guys that they signed in the offseason. And then Erie's rotation, they're literally down 5 starters. You can pencil. So Jaden Ham is hurt. Andrew Sears is hurt. Jake Miller is still hurt. Garrett Burhan is out for the year, and so is Joseph Montalvo. Those are 5 guys that could have been starting for this year. So it's just like the upper level starting is just decimated. So you got to find innings somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm going to be pumped when JB does make his first start back in Detroit, but I mean, effectiveness, we'll see.
I'm sorry. I think you're right that they can't go to full-time pitching chaos from here out. They're going to have to get some guys back and do a little bit more traditional. But I do think they can do stuff like go with openers. Get when there's some lefties, let Holton open, go for an inning and a half, and then go to a Ty Madden and try to get through the order twice, and then get themselves into the 6th inning and see where the game is. I could see that happening a lot.
Yeah. I wanted to. This is just a simple question, but I don't want to let this pass up. Ninja Bees asked, "What are the Tigers good at?" And I mean, I have a couple answers, but I thought I'd bring it to you guys too. Like, do you guys have what's the answer that jumps out at you?
So I was the first thing that I thought of is actually they are one of the best teams in baseball this year at controlling the zone on offense. They don't swing and miss a ton. They're not chasing, so they've done a great job with that. They just haven't really been able to cash in as much as you would hope. But they're a disciplined team now. Even other than Kerry Carpenter striking out a bunch more, Riley Greene strikeouts are down, and it helps to add McGonigle and stuff. But they've done a good job with that. But beyond that, yeah.
They are actually the number 7 team in offense with runners in scoring position.
And that's actually down. They were number 2 for a while.
Yep, they were, and they've slumped a little. But I mean, they are, even though it doesn't seem like it, they are one of the better teams with runners in scoring position.
Yeah,
when they get there, it's interesting.
I think their team on base percentage is pretty decent too, isn't it? Last I looked, anyway, they were in the top 10.
So, they would be. They're down at number 12. They're tied with Arizona at 11.
Okay, so they sunk a little bit here.
Yeah.
Well, Deadly Ninja Bees, there's not much.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of being a little sarcastic when I was like, "What jumps out at you?" Because I can't nothing like real obvious, really. But someone else, who was it? Somebody else. They did. Tyler brings up a good point here. Just that the American League is also kind of pretty bad right now. So when you put it in perspective, I brought this up a couple times really since the season began. Relatively speaking, I know we talk so much crap about the AL Central, but the rest of the league here, let me get these standings up here. Is he actually right about that? Are they really in the wild cards? They are. They're the last wild card at 18 and 7 and 20. That's wild.
Yeah, only 3 teams with a 500 above 500 record, right? It's the Yankees, the Rays, and Cleveland.
Cleveland, yeah.
Cleveland, yeah.
Well,
the Athletics.
Oh, are they above 500 now?
19 and 18.
Oh, okay.
Talk about them being kind of a dark horse this year, right?
Playoff baseball in Sacramento. Oh my gosh, I would love it so much. I want it. I do. I will buy. I don't know if I can commit to that. Yeah, I'll buy it if they make the playoffs. I'm going to buy an Athletics jersey. That's what I'm going to do.
Do you see AJ Marvin's comment here about what the Tigers are good at?
Oh wait, let me get you here. Oh,
yes,
no.
They are good at getting injured. Yes, that is true. That is true. And I, Tyler Matson had a question earlier about someone need to be fired for all these injuries. It's honestly it's something that I don't know about firing people, but Raj and I talked about it when we talked to Ryan Garko in the offseason about there have been so many injuries in the minor league level and now at the major league level. It's at what point do you start to reevaluate all your processes? And I assume it's an ongoing thing, but Garko kind of he basically said that they look at injuries in a 3-year span. So some teams have really bad injury years, and sometimes they have good luck with injuries, and you don't really know unless by 1 year. But it's been a rough 3 years for the Tigers. So I don't know. I don't know how you identify what's going wrong and what to fix. It's not like it's just everybody getting one injury. It's a billion different injuries, and who knows?
There was a time, maybe toward the end of the last decade, whenever it was, I forget the year, but the Rays were always trying to do things a little bit different and a little bit better than people. And I know for a fact there were some articles written that one of their points of emphasis was going to be injury prevention and what can be done about that system wide. And as quick as it was mentioned, it kind of died off. You don't hear much about it anymore. I just wonder if, they have a lot of smart people working over there. Did they just, did they do something that didn't work and they kept it a secret? Or have they kind of moved on from it because they think it's just too big of a nut to crack? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always been kind of the holy grail, right? If you can figure that out and keep people from getting hurt, then you're in business. But I think with the Rays, unfortunately, I think what they figured out is that, and it's been adopted by the Dodgers too, I think, is you just get as many good pitchers as you can, and they're just going to break, and so you just need more. And so that's what the Dodgers have managed to do that by signing everybody, and the Rays just keep trying to acquire them and draft them.
I want to address this because I'm letting this get to me. So we have a comment here by Rich here. He's on pace for 188. I cannot tell you how little I care about how much Riley Greene strikes out if he produces. I don't care if he strikes out 250 times. Right now, in the last 28 days, Riley Greene has a 1,000 OPS. If Riley does that on a month-to-month basis, I don't care if he strikes out 100 times every month. Like, I don't. This is a narrative that is just around so much, and everybody focuses on it. Riley Greene is not the damn problem right now. He can keep striking out if he's going to keep getting on base and he's going to keep producing. So can we just cool it with the Riley Greene slander, please?
His walk rate he's doubled his walk rate. It went from 7% last year to 14% this year. He's been on base 62 times. He's doing just fine. Like, I understand the strikeouts are still going to be there, but yeah, he's adjusted his approach, and part of when you take those walks, part of that, what's going to be the benefit of that is you're going to see more pitches. You're going to eventually get more pitches that you can drive if you're more willing to sit there and take pitches that you can't. So I don't know. I think we're going to see another great season from Riley Greene, and if it's 200 strikeouts to go along with it, I'm fine, because it's he'll be doing Kyle Schwarber stuff, like 30 plus home runs and 100 walks.
So I think you're right on. Both of you right on. I mean, he's changed his approach. I think everybody agreed, despite the home runs and RBIs last year, he needed to make some changes, right? And he has. And if the strikeout rate, like right now, the numbers that he points out, his pace is about 6% less. Okay. That's not nothing. Okay. So that's an improvement. You might want to see more improvement. You might want to see a 10% reduction, whatever, but we're still only in, the first half of May. The numbers are what they are. But I think we can see just from the eye test, he's made some changes, and as Mike said, he's not a big problem for this club right now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I almost didn't even want to give that any room to breathe, but like, I get it so much. Like in my day-to-day life, it just feels like that's the thing. If you're a casual baseball fan, oh, Riley Greene struck out again. Oh my God. Like, it's stuff you hear around the office. I let it get to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
What happens when the team is losing is there's always stuff to complain about. There's always stuff to complain about, even when they're winning, right? And part of it is, you're always kind of looking for a scapegoat. And for a little bit, it was Drew Anderson. It seemed like Drew Anderson was symptomatic of what's wrong with this front office, right? And now, like, you'll see it. There's just a little bit of everything. Like people, Peyton Winslow Perez or Matt Vierling or Jake Rogers, like all these kind of bit players because they're not superstars. Or Colt Keith, he's hitting well, but he's not lifting the ball at all and playing bad defense. And it's like, there's a lot of you can complain about right now because they're not playing great baseball. But these are not like it's not like one person who's the problem, right? Like it's everybody is failing a little bit, and that's causing the issues.
Speaking of, what do you think is up with Colt Keith's power? Now, hey, he's hitting, he's getting on base, he's doing the Wee Willie Keeler routine of hitting it where it ain't, hitting where they ain't, and that's fine. And he had a couple of balls in the first week of the season that were damn near home runs. I mean, he hit them hard, and bad luck. But he hasn't lately at all.
Mhm.
And I just don't understand. I mean, he looks like he's poking a lot of things the other way, just not pulling anything with any authority.
Yeah, I it's hard for me to figure because he definitely has sacrificed, the potential to drive the ball or hitting, and he's hitting the ball relatively hard. It's just a bunch of hard low line drives for singles, and it's like, I mean, that's fine, but yeah, like I've seen him hit for a lot of power. I've seen him launch the ball before. I've seen him pull the ball before. Last year he wasn't. What was it? Like 2 years ago, he was not pulling the ball in the air. Last year, it jumped up like 7%, but it still wasn't quite enough. And we're like, okay. And he's now sort of taking this new stance where he's just kind of chopping down at the ball, old school, and taking these singles. I'll take it as opposed to the, 30 WRC plus Aprils he normally has. But he's not a guy that, you need power from him. All right. Like if he's going to play third base, if he just play second base, he's going to play first base. He's a corner bat. He needs to produce more power. And he's not walking a ton either. Right. Like, so he's just kind of, he's like, I saw somebody describe him as like, as Luis Ariz player now. I'm like, oh yeah, kind of.
But I mean, I think that knowing that the power's there, I feel like this is just, I almost feel like this is weak and light saying this, but like, I almost just feel like baseball, maybe and I don't have any inside information, but he obviously is aware that he's had some pretty terrible starts to the season. I think that maybe he made some changes. He instead of trying to go for that power, he's just trying to contribute offensively, knowing that if you keep making contact, eventually the power comes. Like when it's there, and unless he's like injured, which I don't think we have any evidence of that, it's just, I think that you will see him eventually hit some power. I don't know what it means long-term for like on a year-to-year basis, but unfortunately it's funny. He's doing this and it's affecting his power on a team where power is kind of something that they're lacking. So, and I will give, I'll let Rich jump in here. He's on pace for 16 home runs. He's not swinging enough. I'd rather him go back to the 36 home run pace. I totally get where you're coming from there. They could absolutely use a guy more on pace with 36, 40 home runs versus nobody even close to that right now on the squad,
A 2 home run game, and he's on pace for 24 home runs, right? Like it's
You're
still
right.
early enough that 3 home runs in a week, and he's on pace for 30 home runs. It's Torkelson was on pace for 0 home runs, and then he hit 5 in a row, and now he's going to hit 25 to 30 like he normally does. I mean, like, I don't know. I can't complain about Riley Greene either way yet. He's still producing. It's like a 143 on WRC plus, right? Like he's finding ways to get on base, and maybe you need him to be that guy who's driving in runs instead. But I can't complain about plus offensive player. And it's funny. I was just looking up Colt Keith. Colt Keith has the second highest hard hit swing percentage in baseball, which is to say, like the number of swings he takes, the percentage of those that produce a 95 mile an hour or plus exit velocity. It's 24%. 1 out of every 4 swings for Colt Keith is 95 plus. He's behind only Trent Grisham, and the hitter right behind Colt Keith is Yordan Alvarez.
Wow, there you go.
The
Interesting.
difference: Yordan Alvarez's launch angle is 18.7. Colt Keith's is 9.2.
Double.
So
wow,
that's your difference. You change the launch angle a little bit, and sky's the limit. But maybe he can't. Maybe he can't produce that kind of exit velocity with that launch angle. So I don't know. Like, I've always been a big believer in Colt Keith's offense, and I think he'll find it eventually. But it's kind of a puzzle.
And with the launch angle talk, I think we'll take that opportunity to jump into a segment here. We're going to go to Inside the Numbers. All right, Yoop, why don't you start us off?
Okay, my numbers came from, I saw an article today, and my apologies to them. It was either Jason Beck or Anthony Castrovince, and I think it was Beck, but doesn't matter. It probably matters to them, but in my observations of baseball this year, it was pretty obvious that teams are bunting more. It just feels that way. And the numbers I have today are 169 and 363. And that is the 169 is there is one sack bunt attempt per 169 plate appearances in the majors this year. And there is one bunt hit in every 363 plate appearances this year. Now, that might not sound like a ton. However, since the COVID year, after that, and that includes the year that pitcher has batted one more year, they're about between 40 and 60% higher rate in MLB and teams putting down bunts. So it is interesting that the bunt is making kind of a comeback. It had been poo-pooed by the analytics factions, including myself, for a couple of decades now. And it kind of, it got woven into baseball that the bunt was kind of dying. Now it looks like it's making a bit of a comeback. Teams like the Rays, Kevin Cash of the Rays was quoted as saying that, they just have some guys who can do it. They need men on base, and if they can get on base doing it this way or gaining 90 feet, there's room for that in the game that maybe had been pushed out a little bit over the last few years.
Well, I mean, I like that, Yoop. Could it be, and I'm kind of just doing this quickly, I was not prepared. The batting average for the league is 242. That is the lowest it has been in a very long time.
Sure.
I'm scrolling to 1976, and I don't think we've gotten there yet. Obviously, we got a lot of baseball to go. It goes back to 1968, might have been, and this is just a quick glance from me. Since it was this low, right? I wonder if that has something to do with it, with strikeouts being a lot higher than they were back then. There are literally just fewer opportunities. Guys aren't hitting the ball as much, and guys are striking out more. So a singular at bat almost feels a little bit more important now. Maybe I'm just throwing it out there.
And also a single in that environment, maybe one single run means more than it did a couple of years ago. It's harder to play for a rally and string together 4 or 5 events.
Yeah, for sure. What do you have, Chris?
Well, amidst all the talk about the Tigers' pitching issues and the minor league injuries and stuff, I thought I'd offer a glimmer of hope there. Malachi Witherspoon, their second-round draft pick, tonight went out and pitched 5 innings of 1-run ball. It struck out 10 with 22 swings and misses. It's the most whiffs for any pitcher in the Florida State League so far this year. He had been a little bit up and down so far. This was by far his best outing, and it was very encouraging there as a guy who has some of the best stuff in the system, and it just hasn't quite put it all together yet. But, 22 swings and misses, not bad. That's on 72 total pitches.
Damn.
Yeah, because they're not letting guys go more than 5 innings yet.
Oh, breaking news.
Uh-oh.
Detroit Pistons 107-97 victory.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. And the last thing I'll say is this is low A. It's not you're not facing the 27 Yankees, but this was against the St. Lucie Mets, which currently have the best offense in the Florida State League. So good on him.
Nice.
And good on the Pistons.
Use some good news.
Yeah. I'm going in a bit of a different direction with the theme of the injured pitchers as well. I just found a fun, neat little stat. I'm going to post this here in the chat if people would like to follow along. I don't really know how relevant this is, but RotoWire has a stat. My number is 106. And what that is they have given – this is a list of the 2026 MLB most injured teams. There is – essentially they assign point values based on if the guy's on the 60-day, the 10-15 day, the 7-day, day-to-day. You get points, and the higher the points, the more your roster is affected by major injuries. The Tigers at the very top of this list, number 1 at 106. They have 13 guys on the 60-day, 6 guys on 10-15, 10 guys on the 7, and 1 guy day-to-day. I believe that is Kenley Jansen. Or this may have been before Will Vest. I don't know for sure. Let's see. Yeah. But I just thought the top 5 was also interesting because you have 3 teams that are underperforming by a ton. Number 2 is Toronto. Number 3 is New York Mets. Number 4 is Baltimore. But then you have number 5, the Tampa Bay Rays, one of the 4 AL teams with a winning record. So I just thought that was interesting, kind of just look at the Tigers compared to the rest of the league. If you feel like they have a ton of players on the IL, you are right. It's 32 total, I think, with minors and majors. So that is a huge number. It is tied for the most in baseball with the New York Mets. So, like, I don't know. I'm not trying to validate people who are worried the sky is falling, but, like, you're right a little bit in that, yes, they are very, very, very injured right now. And it is a little scary. A little bit. But I am legitimately worried. Like, with that, we can kind of talk about where they're headed next. Well, they are headed out on the road. They are playing against Kansas City, who is only a game back of the Tigers with a 17-21 record. They're going on the road. Oh, my goodness. Schedule's not opening up. We got Kansas City on the road for the next series, and then they're going to the New York Mets. 2 teams, like you brought up earlier, they're playing a ton of teams under 500 coming up. Another one of those slumping teams, that list I brought up, the Toronto at home after that. So they are playing other teams with almost as many injury problems. How you guys feeling about this Kansas City series coming up?
Well, Bobby Witt is waking up. He hit some home runs this week. So obviously that's a scary issue. They did lose Cole Reagans for at least, I don't know if he hit the IL, but he's got some kind of elbow issue. So they're going to miss him. Kansas City's been kind of all over the map, but their offense has been pretty sluggish, and their middle relief especially has been brutal. So hopefully the Tigers can score some runs this week and take some pressure off their pitching staff and just kind of catch the ball.
Yeah, we do have the pitching. Well, we only have one pitching. We have Kansas City's pitchers. We've got Chris Bubich, Waka, and Cameron as the 3 pitchers. Only Montero scheduled to start the first game of the series in the pitching matchups. Just forgot to mention that as well.
He's the only starter.
What'd you say, Chris?
He's the only other starter right now.
Yeah, right. I was going to say, like, obviously there's not really anybody else. Valdez, we didn't really talk about that brawl too much. He's out. He's missing his next start. His next start will be against the New York Mets now. We could just, like, do you guys think it's going to be Holton maybe starting both of those games, another back-to-back opening situation with a couple guys, or what are we looking at?
I would bet actually it might be Hannafy, a righty against Bobby Witt. Just to get that first at bat out of the way, and hopefully Hannafy can get Witt retired and get him through that inning, and then go from there. But I think that I could see openers definitely.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure that probably 2 openers, and it could be the same guy both days, right? It could be Holton back to back, it could be Hannafy back to back, it could be Hannafy and Herter. I don't know. Like you said, maybe Anderson gets an opening opportunity. It's tough. I was looking, just checking. Kansas City has actually hit pretty well at home. They have a 115 WRC plus at home. This is the first time the Tigers have been there since they adjusted the walls. I'm kind of curious how it's going to play, if it matters.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know. They gotta figure out a way to take a couple of these games. This is certainly can't get swept.
No, you're playing a soft part of your schedule. Like we can talk up, like we could say KC. I mean, they're only a game back of the Tigers, but injuries are not. Like, these are 2 teams you can obviously take advantage of. New York Mets are a dumpster fire right now. Don't let the Tigers be the team that lets them wake up from what they're doing right now. And Kansas City, like, they're obviously a tier below. They have Bobby Witt and no one else. Really just, I mean, Michael Garcia, we all know he's there, but I'm just more of saying, like, their offense is so minimal. Like, I don't really care who's injured on the Tigers. I really do expect them to come out a little bit better over the next week. I really do expect another good starter, Kyler Montero. But I would I would be happy even with a 3-3 record, guys. Like, really, if they can come out 21-23 on this road trip, especially the way they played on the road, I'd be ecstatic, honestly.
Yeah, it would be enough really to just see some decent baseball, right? Like not shooting yourself in the foot, not having complete meltdowns. Just you lose some games, right? But if you play solid baseball and it just doesn't work out, that's okay. But it's tough to watch them throw games away with defense and bad relief pitching.
I mean, I don't know if there's we're pretty much wrapping it up here. There was something that we did not bring up, and I wrote a bunch of notes on this, and I just thought maybe I'd bring it up maybe before we get out of here. It's just, and I want to pause and just say that I'm not worried in the slightest, but we are seeing Kevin McGonigle at the time that the Tigers are slumping. Kevin McGonigle going through the very first slump of his career in his last 6 games. He's at 130, 259, 130, 3 singles and 27 plate appearances, 4 walks and 3 strikeouts. A 150 BABIP, so obviously some bad luck as well. But I'm not trying to say I'm excited for this. That's not the right verbiage, but every baseball player in history slumps, right? It is going to be interesting to see how a guy who has handled his career so well so far bounces back from something like this. I'm not saying either of you guys are worried, but like, how do you guys feel about the Kevin McGonigle slump right now?
Well, he wasn't going to hit 400, right? I think we knew that. So if this is part of what goes on with rookies, right? I mean, the league's making adjustments. He has to make adjustments back. His timing is a bit off. He's popping the ball up. He's hitting a lot of balls up the elephant's ass, right? They're high and they stink, So that's how it goes for a while. Odds are he'll get back at it. I mean, I think everybody sees the potential and the talent. He just probably needs a couple of good at-bats to get things rolling in the right direction, really. I'm not very worried about him at all, other than, it would be nice to see him snap out of it.
Yeah, I mean, he's got there'll be a 3-hit game at some point soon. Right. I've seen this from Kevin McGonigle before. Roger and I talked about it. We saw it in Double-A last year, and pitchers are doing kind of what you have to do with him is you just they continue to throw breaking balls and change-ups away from him, and he's either taking them or fouling him off. And if they just throw only that, he'll take his walks. But they're doing that. And occasionally, if you get it on the outside part of the zone, he swings at it. He'll either pop it up or hit a grounder to first or second. But one thing they're also having success with is doing that and then coming inside, 5 pitches outside and then suddenly coming inside. And he's just, the timing's just off a little bit. He's one of the most gifted hitters I've ever seen. I think he'll be fine. He'll figure it out. But yeah, I mean, his average has dropped under 300. It's at 299 right now.
Right.
But yeah, like I said, he's a guy he'll miss-hit a ball and get an infield single or grounder up the middle, and he'll be back on track soon enough.
I mean, yeah, I'm not worried. Like I said, I mean, I think the obvious sign, and in the stats I read earlier, is just he's got 4 walks versus 3 strikeouts. So like even in a slump, he's walking more than he's striking out. I think I might be a little bit more worried if he just all of a sudden started striking out a ton, but that's just not what's happening. He's just not getting stuff to fall. So I'm not worried, but I do think it's interesting. This is the first time we've talked negatively in any fashion about Kevin McGonigle this season since the season started. And I don't know if it was too negative, but
it's happened, right? We saw
right.
Numbers are what they are. He's popped a few up, but again, it's kind of a natural progression as he moves through his rookie year. Did you guys see the news? And again, how much stock do you put in John Heyman? Who knows? Other than he used to be called ScottBoros.com as his pejorative nickname there, as the pipeline to Scott Boras. That 2 months for Skubal is supposedly now being thought of as conservative, and he could be back in 4 to 6 weeks. I would be pretty stunned if Skubal does that, but I don't know if you guys saw and what your reaction to it was.
I would say, show me your medical degree, John Heyman. I don't buy any of it. My guess is it was a tweet written by Scott Boras, literally sent, and was like, don't change a single character. This is what you're putting out. That is how little credence I give to it, Yoop, really. I'm not joking. Go ahead. Sorry, Chris. I have strong feelings.
I guess like you could say that they want to put a positive spin on it, but ultimately, like, that doesn't matter, right? Like, it's people are going to pay Skubal based on how he looks when he comes back. And I had some fun with what are they removed one singular loose body. I was like, maybe we all find one singular loose body. But honestly, like, it's arthroscopic, right? So this is not like, I don't know how many stitches he might have. Probably not more than one or two, right? Like, it's very small. Yeah. I don't know. So then it's a matter of, like, they weren't doing any structural stuff. They just took something out. So that's you just got to wait for that to heal and whatever sort of swelling. And I did see somebody who's keeps track of major league injuries, and they said they've had like 11 pitchers who've had this done, and none of them have come back sooner than 60 days. So optimism is fun, but I think you would still just go ahead and say 2 months. I think 2 months is on the short side of what we originally thought, right? Like, it was like 2 to 3 months. Like 2 months is fine. It's not great, but like so that's we'll see what happens. If he comes back in 6 weeks, that's great. But that's
right. Like, I'm not saying
get my hopes up.
Yeah, like, my whole point was I don't think John Heyman knows anything. I don't think he's not adding anything to the conversation by putting this out there. It's almost just like a guess, and that's why it really annoyed me.
Okay, here's my next thing for you guys real quick before we go.
All right.
Were you surprised AJ Hinch really kind of came out and said how, without saying the words, how disappointed he was in Framber Valdez, saying how it didn't feel right being out on the field? I thought that was a pretty clear statement from him. And I was a bit surprised how far he went with it.
I was a little bit. I do know that, like, the Tigers have never been that team under AJ Hinch, right? Like, Hinch doesn't go out and argue with umpires. He doesn't, like, they don't throw at guys. They play an ethical brand of baseball, I guess, which is kind of funny to say about AJ Hinch, given the history with the Astros, right? But normally you would think the manager would say that to the player behind the scenes and then protect him in public. But I think Hinch values, like, people knowing that, like, no, that we don't do that more than whatever. And he's had Framber before, and I'm sure that he could deal with it. But yeah, I think it was a little bit surprising, but ultimately not really when you think about the kind of manager Hinch has been.
Mm-hmm.
It just sounded like a disappointed dad to me. Like, I think it does. The fact that he does have, like, a past relationship with him is ultimately what this is. It just felt like, it's like when your dad or your mom says, "Not mad, I'm just disappointed." It just kind of gave me that energy. I don't look more than that. I think that it was a really bad game regardless. So maybe if he didn't give up 10 runs, maybe Hinch would feel a little differently. I don't know. So I don't know, though. I don't know if I give it too much credence. Just, he's a little disappointed. That's all. He's a disappointed dad.
Valdez seems like he's just that guy 2 times a year, 3 times a year. He's going to have these outings, and his mind's going to lose. He's going to lose his mind a little bit. He loses composure.
I want to see it in a playoff series, when he loses it and fires everybody up. Like, there is value in that. It didn't work out this time. I'm trying to spin this any way I can positively, but really, there is fire. Like, fire is good, right?
You know what he's got to do? He's got to really, and I'll say this as someone who's at least umpired on the high school level, been behind a plate. He has got to get way better at showing, at pretending that he's a little surprised someone got hit. And that was the big thing. That's how you knew that was on purpose. Was he didn't, like, put his hands up or go, or make, his eyebrows went, eyelids went wide, nothing. He just, hit him. Because why? He tried to hit him. Same with that catcher he buzzed last year, his own guy. Everybody else on the planet would have been like, "Oh, my bad. Are you okay? Hey, come out here. We should talk about this. Get on the same page." He didn't. There was no emotion. He turned around and walked away.
Well, you saw that he's only thrown 2 4-seam fastballs all year, and both of them he hit the player. So
that was
pretty
that
much
was a good pick.
yeah.
No,
You gotta make it, at least put on a little act like you didn't mean to. He's not good at that.
And frankly, I'm surprised this stuff doesn't happen more often. Like the amount of composure that a lot of these pitchers have. Just even when I think about playing like youth sports, like I don't know if I would have grown out of it as an adult if I continued competing, but when you're in the heat of competition, it's something bad happens. Like I could absolutely see like flipping out and throwing at somebody or charging the mound. And like that was my one disappointment is I don't know if it's a disappointment, right? But like I've maintained all along, like the next time the Tigers have a bench clearing brawl, it's going to involve Hao-Yu Lee in some capacity, because we saw him in Erie a couple of years ago try to fight the entire other team. Like he's like charging at the dugout. I'm like, yes, that's what you kind of want, a little something like that. But that didn't happen, and I don't know if it will. But
well, anyway, let's hope for a good road trip for the Tigers. We will be back at you next week. Thank you guys so much for checking out Motor City Metrics. You can find us anywhere we get pods, where you get pods, Spotify, iTunes is around, I think. I don't know. I'm bad at this part. Thank you guys so much again. For Yoop and Chris Brown, I'm Mike.
stay classy, everybody.